Welcome to the Fractured Families podcast. I'm Charity, your dedicated parental alienation coach, here to guide and support families as they navigate the challenges of high conflict divorces and custody battles. On this podcast, we'll share insights, practical strategies, and hope for those on the journey toward healing and justice. Whether you're personally experiencing these challenges or just want to learn more about the complexities of parental alienation and custody disputes, you're in the right place. You are not alone. This is the Fractured Families podcast, where every voice matters and every story is heard. And if you find my conversation helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us reach more families who need it. Hi, thanks for joining the Fractured Families podcast. I am Charity, your host. I have with me an alienated, now adult child, Kai Murphy, who is going to share with us his experience, his understanding of alienation from his perspective, what he has learned, how it's impacted him and his siblings and his dad. Kai, thanks for joining.
Hi, thank you. I have just, I guess we can first start off when I was, um, when I kind of, now I see it today, but back then, looking back when we moved to the campground, there was a time where things were, because we were caretakers, and that's when we sort of really started to, I guess, move in with Christina, my stepmom, and everything was sort of going great. Um, and then I noticed, like, that we were getting, we were going to the movies, we were going to all these special places, but our family specifically, wasn't too happy about the marriage, in the first place. But it is what it was. But I was actually told that I didn't really have to call Christina my mom, but I mean, she would let me hold her hand and stuff when I was really little. And I mean, I was really looked up to her because I didn't have a motherly figure in my life. And then I had a stepsister, which was pretty much a big deal. And but there was a lot of great things in the beginning, but it was just slowly, I guess, like, um, the foundation was just crumbling, rather quickly. But what I was experiencing was just like, she actually had a lot of conversations with me when I was little.
Before we proceed, let's give some foundation for our listeners.
Hmm.
So it was you and your dad.
Hmm.
And tell us a little bit about your history before Christine came into the photo. How many siblings? Let's talk a little bit about
Um, well, it was just me and my brother. We were in Flint at the time. We were going to, um, I believe it was pre-K, or I think it was some kindergarten school. And actually that's where my dad met, Christina,
Okay.
was at the school. And we'd get together and do like little, play dates with our then now stepsister. So it was that's how originally it happened. Was the school. I noticed it, um a little bit, but I didn't really think much of it. Um like, the whole relationship wise, because I was young, I didn't really care about all that stuff. I was just busy playing, but it was kind of funny. And so, I mean, I thought it was pretty cool. I was a little nervous, Um, I was pretty nervous. I was like, well, I don't know really, because I mean, at that time we sort of still had a small relationship with our mom, our blood mom. But it was very, uh it wasn't that big of a relationship, and so, I guess I was just looking for something, I guess, when I was little. So when Christina came in, it was kind of a big deal. And I mean, I was technically, I I definitely was. She was my favorite more than my dad was, mainly because of the whole conversations, and because she actually did have a lot of conversation with me and really spent her time with me. Um, and I noticed, I guess, going back to the foundation, um, I realized, how important it was to have a mom. Unfortunately, I don't have a mom today, but it's a it's sort of a big deal. Um, and so I guess when you don't have something and it somehow just falls in your lap, you're going to go to that thing that you feel more comfortable with. And I felt pretty comfortable with her. Within a few years, I was pretty comfortable. But there was still, I mean, there was still some, it wasn't perfect ever. But it just wasn't perfect. It was like a normal family. We'd go to vacations. The vacations were actually the worst. Um, to be quite honest, we'd have suitcase flying off the car, crazy stuff like that. So we had to go pick up our clothes, but um, but I could tell for sure that, I mean, that was actually one of the things that she told me, was her parents were not entirely the nicest people, when she was a child, and she would talk about that quite often, actually, of her, dad not being nice, and her mom being actually the worst. Um, and her dad actually did leave, um, throughout her childhood, and so the mom was there, um, and so she would actually kind of have to, I guess, survive on her own, for a while, and then she uh, met one of her husbands, Jeff, which was, and then they got divorced. There was a lot of fighting there, a lot of, it always started with like who got the child and, who got the money. And it was always like, that was one thing that I've always overheard. It was quite, you know, it was really annoying because, being a kid, that's all I heard was, you know, who gets this kid, and so it wasn't never a thing. But she did quite often talk about, her past parents. Um,
So let's talk a little bit about when your dad and Christina had children. How did that relationship start to look?
um, well, when we had Lily, or yeah, Lily, um, I mean, it was actually really interesting because my dad would go to work, right, and he was a millwright, and then my stepmom, she was more, um, she would take care of the kids, or us, but at the same time, it would be more on us to take care of the kids. It would be me, or Sky, but mostly me, um, which was, I guess was pretty. It was whatever. I mean, she was cleaning and stuff, um, but I guess the dynamic of the family, um, felt right to me. Um, but the more the relationship, I guess, progressed, um, she started spending a lot of money on things that we didn't really have the money for. I was very aware on how much money we had when I was little and what we could afford, what we couldn't afford, because that's something that I was always very attentive on, was the amount of money we had, and she would spend it on, like, on food that we didn't have, and that was a big thing that I heard fights about, was, merging bank accounts, and who gets, the SSI check, and what it's going to be spent on. And most of the time, it was spent on like toys that we weren't actually allowed to tell our dad that we that she spent all this money on. It was actually quite a secret. There was actually, um, a lot of secrets in the house, interestingly. Uh, when I was, because Christina was there most of the time. My dad was, out of the house working. He'd come home pretty late, probably around 3 in the morning, and then sleep during the day. And then we'd go hunting when he was off, which was pretty fun. Just me, really, because I was the only one really interested in hunting. But so that was a lot of fun. It'd be pretty cold, I give you that. Like it is cold now, but it was a lot of fun. But I guess it was weird when I actually was saw like when they were together, it would actually be pretty bad. Um, like if they were there for more than a day together, it wouldn't be really perfect. Um, there would always be a fight about something. Um, and I mean, it could have been about a plate. It could have been about, you know, the food that we bought. I mean, we weren't technically the greatest people when it came to like eating healthy. So it was really interesting coming out of that. So I mean, we would buy like candy and Slurpees at the gas station, and so that was one thing that we were always wanting was like when we were in the car. Sometimes the adult gets the treat and the kid doesn't, and it was what it was. But I think there was a lot of like how we got in trouble. We would have to sit on the step, and then if we did something good, we would be rewarded with candy or something. Um, and so that was really interesting. But I was always really confused when I got in trouble because there wasn't like usually if you get in trouble, like if you don't do your homework, you get it, you know, you get rewarded. But when I got rewarded, it would be a pretty big deal. Although I now that I look back, it was not I would actually go to my mom first, like the fact that I would get bad grades. Um and so it was actually easier to go to my mom than it was to my dad. But and so I guess I was pretty well developed within my mom, less than my dad because my dad was at work. Um
So how old were you when Lily was born?
uh well, that's gonna take me a minute. Roughly, I think I was like 9 or 10, maybe, I believe. 9 or 10, yeah. Uh,
So you had a pretty sounds like you had a lot of responsibility even at that age in the household.
oh, I did. Like, for instance, if they were fighting, I would take the kids and we'd go in the playroom and we'd go play. But unfortunately, being as attentive as me, I would listen to the conversation as well. And again, it would sometimes actually be about their past relationships, about the past relationship on Sky's end. Because unfortunately, Sky, she would get all this money when she came home, um, because her dad wanted her to like her or sort of get her on the side of liking Sky. Um, and so actually Jeff all out he just disappeared. We never heard from him, you know,
So
since
Sky
2017.
she was the stepsister, Christina's daughter, when you came into her life, and
Yes.
you felt like there was a lot of conflict in that relationship, and even at that young age, you started to recognize it.
Yeah. No, it was I mean actually they would go downstairs and talk about it. And hear yelling and stuff about it. Like, just I guess people just being stressed out about it cuz there was a court, there was always court about that stuff and trying to get a lawyer and so I guess it's the same thing going on right now, which is sort of ironic. Having to pay like $2,000 for a lawyer and then so on, and then the hourly rate of the lawyer is kind of ridiculous. So then when we get the kids, we can't really do anything with them. I mean, we can, but like we can't do what we wish we could, and it's everything's so like especially with Declan. That's a whole like another thing, but Lily and Declan in general. But going back to uh yeah, I would actually take care of Lily most of the time. Because Christina would either be on the computer checking emails and all that stuff, and folding clothes.
So let's talk a little bit about, so Lily and Declan come along, and
Mhm.
then let's start to talk about the relationship for Christina and your dad as it starts to unravel. And I know that there was a lot of conflict with Christina and your dad, and then he leaves. And then how did that impact you? Because you left with your dad and Declan and Lily stayed.
Yeah. Wait. So Lily and Declan. Yeah. So. Hmm.
So let's talk about when your dad and Christina ended the relationship. How do you recall that unraveling?
Um. It was really interesting. It actually started in three like separate things. So it kind of started like on Easter. And it was pretty bad. Like, I'm gonna leave, or I'm gonna lock myself in the room. You can sleep on the couch, this type deal. So they would be split up. And actually, I don't when past like I think, oh, what was it? 2015, they weren't really sleeping in the same room together. Um, after Declan was born, and it was sort of weird because and when Christina came down, it would be a fight, like just like that. And it would be over the weirdest things. But during Easter, and I'm pretty sure Christina was, on alcohol at that time. And so she can be either pretty angry or just um a joyful drinker, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but uh this time she wasn't so joyful. And so she was, cussing everybody out, our family. And so I was really confused because I'm like, well, what's going on? Like, why is this happening? And at some point in time, I'm like, is this my fault? Like, I actually thought like this is actually my fault because of me getting poor grades in school. We got taken out of the house for a few weeks. We went to our grandma's like we always did. Like even with my blood related mom. That when that went to the trash, we'd have to go to our grandma's, and that's where our safe spot was our grandma's. But actually, our uncle came, and and it's sort of hard to remember all the things that I said to my dad when when Christina was still, I guess, alienating me. So I'm trying to remember because there was a lot of things that Christina said. I mean, she was saying a lot of things that were, I guess, pertaining to my uncle and my aunt. I mean, she was really trying to like have us hate our grandparents, um, and our aunts and uncles. Like they were saying that they were rich and they don't really care about you, and they don't actually come over to the house, which they didn't a lot, which is understandable because everything was so messy, and it wasn't really a place that was happy. Um, it was pretty toxic actually, and I mean, I can remember it to this day. The backyard was full of mud. There was no grass. The garage door was basically broken, and I'm pretty sure it still is to this day. Uh, and so I don't even remember what's in that garage. We never went in it. But actually, we weren't allowed in it because it was dangerous.
While you still lived there, she made an attempt to turn you against your family, your dad's family.
Yeah.
And
And
then
and
so let me just interject because I'm trying to understand. So your dad and Christina break up.
Uh-huh.
And do you recall what that was like for you? And did you get separated from your two younger siblings at that point?
Oh, we did. And I was pretty like the first time we left or the second time.
When it finally ended?
Oh, when it finally ended. Oh yeah, I mean we were basically removed from our brother and sisters. And it was really sad because we wanted to see them, and it was very abrupt. And so Lily was pretty confused. And she was always saying like, I want to see my brothers, but she couldn't. The school situation was pretty weird because we were still going to school at the time, at the school that we were always going to, but that ended up changing real quick, because we actually had Child Protective Services come at the school and question us when my dad didn't know a thing, and they were asking like just strange questions like, did your dad ever hurt you? Were you ever yelled at or screamed at, or just questions that I guess I'm like, first off, all dads, are pretty stern. Well, should be pretty stern anyways, but that's just opinionated. But it was just very strange, the whole thing. And it was weird because especially moving our stuff, we didn't really move anything out of that house, so all the stuff is still in that house because we weren't really allowed in the house. And so, but seeing Lily and Declan, I was really sad because I'm like, why can't I see Lily and Declan? Especially when my dad got accused of raping my mom. But that was a whole thing. That was a whole nother thing, actually. Um, actually, my stepmom convinced me that actually I saw my blood mom get raped, and so I had eventually said it, and it was confirmed to her, and so she used this and somehow contacted my mom. So I was, that was a whole, ordeal in the fact that she somehow had um my, yeah, what is it called? Like my SSI check, like she was like confirming that I was her son somehow, which didn't really make sense because I'm like, this is my dad, and so it was pretty confusing. And I do apologize. I'm just not. I'm trying to piece it all together. It's been a
It's
long
okay.
time thinking about this stuff.
Let me ask you a question to help.
Yeah,
So you felt like she told you that your dad sexually assaulted your biological mom and made you basically believe you witnessed that. And then she used that to help separate your dad from the children.
yeah, that happened. Actually, the second fight that led up to the end result, I actually took my dad's glasses off and I crushed him because I didn't want to leave because he was trying to get us out of the house because it was a bad situation. I mean, all I remember is like sitting in the room, uh, keeping the door locked because Christina told me to lock the door, and so I locked the door, and the and actually I do remember and I recall, which kind of that makes me feel weird. When Christina did hit my dad in the hall, and I do remember that, which is kind of weird to remember. And so actually that was weird. And and then we actually just kind of ended because my dad actually went to my grandma and grandpa's for a few days. They were trying to figure things out, and so my dad wasn't at the house. And actually, huh? Christina actually did say to me, "Call the police if your dad gets here." And we didn't because we didn't really know where the phone was, but we would have. And so that was pretty strange for me. But I was willing to do it because I was so, I was really with my mom. or my stepmom at the time, like, I really loved her, at the time. And so it was like, if your dad ever hurts you, you know what to do. There's a place you can go. Just go in your room and lock your room. And actually, I mean, technically, she was making these scenarios, technically, in my head that I actually believe that might happen. And so there was like whether or not, like, for instance, if you do end up getting taken, there's things you can say. I can't remember those things specifically. I just remember that she said, you can always call me if you do end up getting taken out of the house.
So she was trying to basically keep you from your dad even after it was evident the relationship with them was ending, and she
hmm
wanted to keep you away from your dad at that time.
Yeah, and actually she would say like things like your dad is really scary. Like you're gonna end up like your dad. I don't remember why. I think it had to do something with like school, um, or something to do with like, I think it had to do with Sky. I was saying something to Sky, and then I ended up getting in trouble. And she's like, "You're gonna end up like your dad. Don't do that." And that's pretty scary. And even after we left, she said, "You're gonna end up like your dad, and your dad's really scary. You don't want to become like your dad." And so there was that. I mean, this is all coming back to my mind, which is very strange to think about. But
So let's move to the part where you and your dad finally do get away and you go to your grandparents, and then his separation with Declan and Lily. And so let's talk about how that has been, because that's been pretty intense. And he basically, I mean, she attempted to alienate you from him, and then you ended up with him. And
yeah,
how, let's start with that. How was it when you finally did leave her and end up with him? How did you transition to that?
so I've been known to adapt quite quickly, and so I mean I knew that was my dad, and so I had this thought like well, this doesn't make sense. This is my dad. I shouldn't be treating my dad like this, because I was being not very uh much of a son when it came to that. I mean the things that I was saying. And so I was like, well, this isn't right, because my grandma, I mean, she was a huge part in this, you know, telling me like this isn't true. You realize what your dad has done for you, all these things. Like it was sort of like eye opening. So I I I definitely heard, listened, and acted. So it was just like it was a quick adaptation, because I realized what I did wasn't correct. It wasn't
How
right.
old were you?
I believe I was like 13 or 14 maybe. Yeah, 14. That's actually pretty accurate, 14. Because that's when I went into middle school, Brandon, which was pretty cool. But that was really weird also, going into school, that I didn't really know, living in my grandma's house and still trying to figure out how we were gonna see my brother and sister, because that was a big deal to me. But at the same time, it wasn't, because I was still trying to recover. So in some way, I guess I was like I wasn't really worried about my brother and sister for a good month, because I was still just trying to, like, what just happened, sort of ordeal. Um, but then a month went on, and I'm like, Dad, why can't we just like do a an equal you know parent time, like you get this person, you get the kids for a month. And I started asking these questions, um, and I got really no response until next year, which is when uh, Aunt Colleen was actually helping by being like, I guess, a supervisor to watch the kids. So my dad didn't, like, I guess, take them, which I don't know where my dad would go. It didn't really make any sense. So that was a huge thing, was like, I guess, my dad stealing the kids and running off, but it didn't really make sense to me. Because my dad isn't like that. So I guess whatever. So I don't know. It yeah.
So you finally start to see your siblings, but it's in a supervised scenario. And it sounds like it's progressively gotten worse. Let's talk about how you have seen the relationship with your siblings change and how it's impacted you and your father.
Okay. Interestingly, the first thing that comes to mind is Lily. I think it's impacted Lily the most. I feel like Declan is sort of lost. Unfortunately, he's where I was. He doesn't really have he doesn't have a choice. He's there. He's already brainwashed. And so he actually literally calls my dad Jeff. And so Lily doesn't like that. You know, she's pretty awake. And I would actually say, I think we said this last time, but Lily needs to get out of that house. I mean, she's really smart. And a whole thing that's changing right now as we speak is the fact that Lily is already getting into relationships with
How old is she?
boys at school, which she's what? She just got into middle school, so she's 14, I think. Um, and my dad was not informed by this. He wasn't even involved in the conversation. And the first thing that actually came to mind when I thought of the relationship was the teen pregnancy programs that give you money. And I'm like, well, she's just going to use the pregnancy programs just to get money, the same thing that she's using to get, all these special disability, because she's getting money because they have special disabilities and all this help that's not actually helping because Lily can't read, nor can she do math. Same with Declan. Declan, he gets a headache. He gets to stay home from school, play on his tablet, and preoccupying himself by screaming at Alexa, thinking that she's actually real. And so it's just like I'm seeing me and Killian. Killian, I think Killian's a whole different story. He was not really involved as much as I was in the relationships. He was sort of doing his own thing.
She was younger,
I
so
mean,
she didn't have that big of an influence on him.
no, because Killian, because of how Killian is, he doesn't really, not saying he's not smart, but he just doesn't understand family dynamics. He just, he sees the toys, he's going to go play with the toys, or if he sees something that he wants to do, he's going to go do it. There's no like, well, what if this happens? There's not really a consequence in his mind. But he's pretty joyful, and I guess that's not, I guess it is. It's pretty amazing to see the amount of joy in that kid, my brother. And so I don't think it really affected him nearly as much as it did me, when Lily and Declan did leave, because Killian was doing his own thing. And so obviously she would try to get, my SSI money, because I was so involved with her. I mean, she would actually try to, still to this day, she tried to, get us birthday gifts and Christmas presents, which she bought me a $30 vinyl off of her favorite band. That's also my favorite band. So she was still trying to make those connections. But unfortunately, I did snap recently, in which she did accuse of me possibly hurting Declan, and calling CPS on me, which I thought was very strange. just because I said you need to stop having Declan on the tablet while my dad is trying to talk to, you know, the kids, and it's just it's not right. And we have also found out that Sky is listening on the conversations when nobody's supposed to be in that room. She walks in constantly. And so I mean, you can just tell that Lily wants to say things, but she's very cautious, and I understand why. And like, for instance, this is coming from Lily, which is pretty heartbreaking. She did say that the only way for me to get out of this situation is if she went away. And I just dropped my jaw because she said that. Nobody forced her to say it. She just said it. And so it's like, how does she get out of this situation? Because the whole suicide thing, because she did say she wanted to commit suicide. Like, I don't know. This is a lot for a little girl to be in this position. I kind of, relate to her in some ways because, I was in this situation where I was like, well, I like my dad, but I really like my mom, but I feel like my dad is being this and I don't want to become that because my mom said so. And, uh, so it's like, I still like my mom more than my dad. But in this case is Lily. She really likes her mom, but she really, really wants to be with my dad. But she ultimately she wanted us to be closer, and she wanted everybody to be, I guess, happy and trying to figure things out together. But unfortunately, that's not how that works. Uh, and one thing that she was trying to do was come to West Virginia, Christine and all the kids, and see our house. She kept telling Lily to say that. And we're like, well, no, that's not gonna happen. So she's still trying to, I guess, put influence on us, even when the relationship is gone. Because she got Sky, so she thinks she can do it again with me. When in reality, I know exactly what happened, and the whole little ordeal with her somehow having connections with my mom, that's just mind blowing. Like that's like that's like stuff you only see in like TV shows, shouldn't be real, but it somehow was and is. And that's what kind of just it was nuts.
So let's talk about your siblings, the two little ones, Declan and Lily. And Lily clearly is still very much wanting to be part of your life and your dad's life. And Declan seems to be completely detached. And how does that make you feel? How does it feel to see your siblings going through what you went through?
Well, I mean, it makes me extremely sad, mainly because I mean, I know what it feels like, and I guess specifically Declan, Declan is all I see is a future that there is no future for him. The future is a lot of jail time. That's all I see. Which is pretty negative, but I mean, if he doesn't get out of that house now, I mean, that is the ultimate reality. And with Lily, all I see for her is, a toxic, relationship, with, continuing, finding the escape, which is, starting relationships when she shouldn't be, um, and getting pregnant. And that's a pretty scary reality to me. Mm. I mean, she has nothing to really hold on to, you know? And so it's like, well, all I see is the worst. Um, and I don't really see the bad, but unfortunately you kind of need this sense of, you know, I mean, I've just survived all my life, and so Lily's gonna be the same. She's gonna have the same reality, which is she just needs to survive. She's gonna find any way to survive, and that's how it's gonna be. Even if she's in this this abusive home, she'll find a way. But is it the most healthy way? Probably not. I mean, luckily I had friends. I mean, she does too, and so that was a good escape. Um, was friends and birthday parties. Those were great. Going to my grandma and grandpa's, like I said, that was a nice safe space. But other than that, I mean, the fact that they don't have a safe space, I mean, it's pretty sad. I feel like everybody needs a safe space, especially when she doesn't have any family members besides her mom and Jeff, and Lily doesn't even like Jeff. And so it's like Lily has, I mean, she has friends, but she doesn't have any family members. And I feel like you need family members to connect with, for instance, grandma and grandpa. And so, uh, but unfortunately,
When was the last time you saw them in person?
oh, well, it was, it's pretty recent. It was last year, during the summer, like, I think it was during July, and that was for a few weeks. But that was when Lily started opening up, and Declan, um, not having his like tantrums, because he has a lot of tantrums during the video, but he didn't have a single tantrum when he was with my dad. Um, there was no like babying, and you didn't really need to baby him. He would listen. Um, and so I guess like I mean, you can ask the question, well, if he's listening, then the mother must be doing a great job. Um, but it's not that, I don't think, because I think it's the detachment from the mom is actually the healthier thing that's happening, and he can actually. And when I was with him, like, I mean, he was laughing, he was having a great time, he was being Declan, because I know Declan, and he's definitely hard to deal with, but he's definitely he has an imagination, which is an important thing, um, to have an imagination. Um, but it's when he gets older, uh, he needs to there needs to be boundaries. Um, and unfortunately, there is no boundaries. Um, there's a tablet, uh, and that's not really doing anything for anyone when he's 19 or 20. Because you do really have to think about the future for these kids, especially for the kids dealing with the same thing I'm dealing with or had to deal with, and Lily and Declan, and all the other parents and kids. Because being a kid was not easy in this relationship, in these relationships. Having a new dad, having a new mom, um, is quite hard. Um, Mainly due to the fact that you have to restart and make sure that this dad or mom isn't going to do the same thing that your mom or your dad did. And so it's sort of it can be, and so you kind of have this trust problem where you can't really trust anything. So um you're very self-aware of what you can and what you can't trust. Uh, and this, like, today, like, I have a hard time even trusting my own family members, um, because I don't know. Like, I mean, I've gotten this far, I've survived, I'm creating things that wouldn't even think I'd be creating, um, you know, relationships, business ideas, things that I feel like Lily could accomplish as well, but she just doesn't have the chance. She doesn't have the she's boxed in. And she has nowhere to go. I mean, it's just horrible. You know, and there's nothing you can do. You know, I mean,
Okay.
it,
I thank you for sharing. I know it brought up a lot of emotions and clearly it brought up a lot of memories, and I know that's hard. I want to thank you for sharing your story and for helping others and bringing awareness to this. Yeah. Any final thoughts before we end?
well, just you know, I have an Instagram, I have a Facebook. So if you guys need to reach out to me, I'm willing to, you know, answer questions that you might have as well. And and I'm sure watching this may help you guys, and especially, you know, the teens out there too. So you guys got it. I know you do. You guys will push through it. But thank you for having me. And yeah,
Thank you, Kai.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Fractured Families podcast. I hope our conversation has provided you with support, understanding, and actionable insights to help you navigate your own family challenges. Remember, healing is a journey, and reaching out for help is a sign of strength. You're not alone. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your support helps us reach more families in need. You can contact me on social media at Parental Alienation is Real and visit our website for additional resources and ways to get involved. Stay strong, stay connected, and keep fighting for the family bonds that matter most. Until next time, take care and stay resilient.